Boys, let's get to it. UFC Fight Night this Saturday, January 13th from the Apex with a main card start time of 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in our main event, and in the light heavyweight division, we have number 2 Magomed Ankalaev taking on number 7 ranked Johnny Walker. And boys, this fight is I guess you could say a rebook over a rematch, as these guys faced off at UFC 294 back in October. That fight ended in round 1 and was called a no contest after Magomed landed an illegal knee to Walker, and the ringside doctor determined Walker could not continue. If you guys remember, the doctor asked him what country he was in, and everyone was kind of joking. The running joke was that, does anybody know what country Yas Island it is, let alone if you had just gotten hit in the head, right? Even just adrenaline pumping, right? Like, forget the hit. Like, even if your adrenaline just going, that's a tough question to answer there in the moment. But it happened so early in the fight, I just don't think there's much to tell us in either direction how that fight may have played out. But looking at how both men came in before that meeting in October, Walker was riding a 3-fight win streak with wins over Iwan Kutalabe, Paul Craig, and Anthony Smith, while Ankalaev was coming in off his split decision draw against Jan Blachowicz. And that fight was for the vacant light heavyweight title. And before that draw, Ankalaev was on a 9-fight win streak in his career, boys. But man, back-to-back fights without a win or loss is interesting for Ankalaev, especially when one of those was for a title. And that last one with Walker could have easily have been a title eliminator. And now with Alex Pereira almost seemingly without a contender, with Jamal Hill still injured, not sure on his timetable. That would have been a good fight to have in the bag, right? But do you guys see this as a number 1 contender matchup, I guess, heading into this?
I think it makes a lot of sense, especially like you said, when you factor in Hill still being out. I mean, it's just tough to really see anyone else that really stands out. And Ankalaev having just fought for a title recently, Walker's making some noise. He's kind of always been in the conversation as a contender, not number 1 per se. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I think with Magomed, I think I feel a little bit stronger of a definite for if Magomed pulls this one off.
I kind of agree with that.
For Walker, I think, well, if Walker goes out and finishes Magomed and is very impressive, I think he makes a big, because that matchup with him and Alex would be, fireworks with their fighting styles. The only other person who's even making any type of noise to move up that way would be like a Khalil Roundtree, but he's still a little bit further back. So if one of these guys can pull off a big finish, I think that they could definitely put themselves in a position to be one of the next considered.
Brandon, who are you taking at -3 to get you going here in 2024?
So, okay, there's not much to take from that last fight, like you said. I mean, there was a little takedown, I think, or at least
grappling
initiation.
Exchange, but even that, like you go to that real quick, it's like Magomed was doing a pretty good job, but Walker was also right before the knee, which is why the knee was thrown. He was getting up. He was working himself out of it, doing everything he needed to do, using the cage. So,
So the question to me, I think that Walker, he's kind of had this weird trajectory where he started off in the UFC with these crazy strikes, very flashy, fun to watch, and then he had some bumps in the road, and then he kind of reinvented himself a little bit and just kind of tightened things up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that last fight with Ankalaev, he showed shades of who he used to be.
Yeah.
I think if he does that, that's his route to victory. He's got to just be who I think he is, which is that fun, exciting fighter, but he's got to maintain the gas tank. Although, for me, with my pick, I'm actually going to lean Ankalaev here because I think if he initiates the grappling and can be consistent with it, I think he gets it done. I think he's tight enough on the feet to make it through any crazy stuff that Walker's got to throw at him. So I'm going to take Magomed Ankalaev, and I will say unanimous decision.
Alrighty, John, who you taking?
I'm up 3.
Oh, you are? I forgot.
I'm first place, baby.
Second place, Nate. This is unfamiliar territory for me. I'm going to do something that I've actually never done when a fight gets rebooked like that, and that is I'm going to flip from my original pick back in October, because back at 294, I went with Johnny Walker to win this fight, but I think the 5-round aspect of this fight drastically changes things for me. With that first matchup at 294, I felt like with it just being 3 rounds, Walker might have an opportunity at least to let go a little bit more, really use that dynamic striking without, really any threat to the cardio. And he may not have finished Magomed, who has never been knocked out or TKO'd, by the way. But I thought he could have pulled off a decision possibly just from being the more dynamic guy going forward. But I just don't have that same confidence in a 5-round fight, if I'm being honest. Magomed has been 5 rounds twice, technically never lost, with one of those 2 obviously being the Jan fight, a fight in which I did have Magomed winning by for whatever that's worth. So we know he's more than capable, right, fight of going those 5 rounds and still looking very competitive. We've only seen Walker go all 5 rounds once, and that was against Thiago Santos back in 2021, and that's a fight that he lost by decision. Also worth mentioning, Magomed has never lost a decision. He is 8-0 when the fight goes the distance. Plus the fact he's never been finished, I just think it's a tough fight for Walker, who I do think is capable of finishing for what it's worth. I mean, this guy does have crazy power. He can pull things out of his you-know-what to get the fight done, finish. But I wonder what kind of risks he will have to take, especially in the later rounds if he knows he's down. I do like this fight to go a little bit long. What did you say, Brandon?
Decision.
That's what I like. I wouldn't be surprised by Magomed decision here. But you know what? Let's go Magomed by 4th round KO TKO.
Yeah, I wonder what Kavanaugh's going to take from those first little exchanges. If maybe he feels like Magomed can lean him against the cage and kind of wear on him, and maybe they work to try to get off of that, because that's kind of what I look at as far as, you know, what you're saying about Magomed not losing decisions and those type of things, because I think he has a skill set for it. He has the type of striking that can keep him in some exchanges. He has the grappling, and he has the gas tank to push through it.
Sure.
So for those reasons, I am gonna go with Magomed. I think that I'm going with 3rd round TKO, and I think that's kind of when Johnny Walker can, especially if Magomed is using his leg kicks, using some of the leaning on the grappling, he can wear Johnny Walker down, and I do think that he's going to get some ground and pound, hopefully not an illegal one, and get a W here.
Absolutely, boys. Perfect. I like it. Moving